From the campus of Buena Vista University on the shores of Storm Lake, this is Inside Beaver Athletics.
Fasten your seatbelts, here we go.
He's gonna blow it! Beavers win! Beavers win!
And the Beaver students rush the floor.
Buena Vista wins!
And now the Director of Athletic Communications, Stephen Phelps.
Hello, Beaver Nation. Welcome back. I am Stephen Phelps, Director of Athletics Communications here at Buena Vista University, and today I am proud to be joined by BVU head softball coach Tammy Utley. And Tammy, as we get into the thick of the home schedule, conference season is right around the corner. We appreciate the time sitting down with us and talking a little Beaver softball for a little while.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Yeah, we're halfway through the season, getting ready to gear up for our first conference games next weekend versus Dubuque.
And before we dive into a lot of the X's and O's of this season, let's step back and reflect a little bit on last year. I know it's been about a year now since you and I have sat down and visited. What were some of the big takeaways that you had from year one here on campus?
Year one went very well. The campus administration are very supportive. Along with the team, I think that they did a great job of changing with the times. The expectations were a little bit higher for the team last year, and I think the organization was a little bit different, which I feel like they did a great job with the change. And overall, I think they became more confident. We became more competitive as the season went, and they started to understand the expectations a little bit more to be able to play a little bit better and perform a little bit better.
And obviously the injuries played a large factor in last year. How did you bring the team together, to overcome some of those obstacles that you guys had to be, faced with throughout the course of the year, just to keep that mentality strong and just keep pushing forward?
I think we asked each of them to play a role. Injuries happen in athletics all the time, and if we are practicing the way we're going to play, and we had all 19 of them practicing that the way they could or giving us what they could on any given day, then we knew that it didn't matter who we asked to step in, that they were going to step in and do the job to the best of their ability.
And as you push forward, getting into the fall, you were able to bring in your first recruiting class, mix them with the returners that you had back. You got a little healthier. You added more depth just overall to the roster. What were some of the big factors going into, fall ball? How pleased were you with the way the ladies came in prepared physically and mentally, and as you were able to start going after year two?
I was very excited about this year. I think our returners knew that coming in that there was going to be a lot more depth at each position. They knew they would be challenged at each position and did what they needed to do to prepare themselves to come into the fall season. Our incoming class, their workers, got on campus on Friday on move-in day, and they were already asking for keys to get into the batting cage on Saturday morning. That's a little bit of change from what we've seen in the past, and that's the change that we need to keep moving this program forward.
They get here, they want to go, so that is great. Going back to the pitching, obviously that's probably one of the areas where you really were able to build on with this roster this year. How has the depth of the pitching just overall made things a little bit easier as you try and mix and match your lineups and try and figure out certain roles for everyone?
The depth in our lineup for pitching allows us to have matchups. It allows us to match, 2 or 3 pitchers that work well together or help each other as far as being different types of pitchers. So that really has helped us. The matchups have helped us. The depth has also helped us, but it's also helped us because at times they do get sore, they do get injured, and we have the ability to count on somebody else if the person we think is going to be our number one for that game is not feeling the greatest.
And as we get close to conference play, obviously having that depth and, being able to turn to certain pitchers at any point in the game, maybe it's just to get 1 or 2 outs to get you through an inning, and then you can, switch back to either someone else or go forward with someone else. So just having that mix and match game that you were talking about really makes it a lot easier on you going into conference play for sure.
Absolutely. And our returners have done a great job. Again, we dealt with a lot of those injuries throughout last year with those returners. So their roles have changed a little bit here and there. Some of them won't see as many innings, but they will come in big situations because they have that experience and that confidence and know that they can do it. However, they may not hold up for an entire game. So it's nice to be able to match those players and still give them opportunities and allow them to still have a role as we continue to build this program.
And let's just walk through the roster a little bit, just talk about, some of your veterans that are coming back, and then the makeup of your newcomers, where they're coming from, the skill set of a lot of them.
Yeah, so our returners include four seniors. All of them at one point were pitchers here. Some of those roles have changed due to injury. Some of them are, we're still trying to work through some injury and managing what they have going on to be able to allow them to compete this semester. We have 3 returners in our junior class, and we also included 1 junior transfer who came in as a pitcher. So all of them had a lot of great experience last year along with our seniors, and then we have 3 of our sophomores who are returning. So 11 returners overall. And then we have 12 incoming athletes that have joined the program that have done a great job of, number 1, bringing energy, number 2, really wanting to raise the bar, and number 3, providing a lot of depth and athleticism to our lineup.
Who would you consider some of your maybe big surprises? Who are some that have returned and they're still doing what they've always done? Can you just walk us through a little bit of some of that breakdown of your lineup?
Yeah, I'd hate to miss out on anybody, but I feel like Jillian Garcia, who was a pretty much everyday starter last year, is still getting a lot of time. Her bat at the plate is something that we have needed, but defensively right now we're not necessarily putting her on the defensive side as much as we would have been had it been last year. Maddie Raveline has stepped in as our starting shortstop. She's a Storm Lake native, very athletic, and has a lot of range, has a great arm, so has provided a lot of energy for us in the infield. We also have Geneva Guller, who is an Arizona kid, so Jillian's from California. G is from Arizona, who provides a lot of energy to our team and also has a great bat. And it's nice to be able to get her into pinch hitting roles where we didn't have much of that last year, where we could pull somebody off the bench to give us a spark. I feel like she has done that. Based on that, we have Jordan Fabrikavich, who came back as a sophomore this year, who has spent a lot of time at second base, who is doing a great job, continues to learn, and has produced quite a bit for us as well. Hannah Marin out of Bancroft, Algona Bishop Garrigan has done a great job as well at third base, taking over for Kayla Farmer last year. And our whole outfield is completely different than it has been in the past. We graduated the 3 seniors in Danny Workman, Maddie Elwood, and Paige Druskis last year, and they were a great outfield. So we've played around a little bit with the outfield this year, and we have a lot of freshmen that have stepped into those spots, including Avery France, who is a sophomore, who was on the team last year, was more of a pinch runner for us, has found herself as a defensive-only player, and then also able to run bases in that flex position, which has really helped. And she's stepped up her game a lot since we finished last spring. Including all of those, we have the pitchers who are returners. We have Grace Furman, we have Kenzie Dumbaugh. Riley Garner's just starting to get back into pitching again after tearing her hip labrum last year, and has retorn it this season as well. So we're still trying to figure out what we can do with her. But with those returners, including Callie Erlmeyer, who I feel like has really stepped up her game since last year on the mound, hitting and defensively. So all of those things combined with the returners now understanding the expectations, understanding the system that we run, I think it really helps because they're not young anymore. They've had the experience, but then they can help our incoming kids really focus on getting better and learning the system. Paige Mahler, who is a JUCO transfer, has done a great job of coming in for us on the mound and has provided us a lot of great quality innings, and is one that will look to give us some good quality innings coming into conference season. Overall, I think we are very much at a great spot. We have some freshmen who are hitting at the top of our lineup, putting them in spots even though they may not be successful all the time. I feel like those are the spots that they're going to grow into, and they'll be able to help us down the road. Zoe Thayer, a Wisconsin native, has done a great job of really stepping up and getting us some really good quality at bats, including Jalen Cron, who has came in behind the plate and given us some good quality innings behind the plate, being able to throw out runners, who's athletic, has energy, and is doing a great job on the offensive side of the ball as well.
Now that we're about halfway through the season, what would you consider to be your top strengths and maybe some of the areas where you're still trying to maybe work some things out?
Every game there's something that goes really well, and there's something that we need to figure out. So we may be pitching well, but we're unable to score runs, and we're leaving 10 runners on base, which in that situation it's hard to win a ball game. Some games we're hitting well, and then our pitching, we may be giving up too many freebies. So if we could get all three aspects of the game to work at once, I think we would be very competitive. And I see us getting closer every single game, and I see us starting to understand our lineups and starting to understand who we're playing with and who we feel is a good matchup against the opponents that we're playing.
Earlier this month, you guys had your spring break trip to Florida. Let's just talk about the spring trip in general. Some of the competition that you were able to play, some different competition that you wouldn't normally be able to play.
Yeah, it was a great trip to Florida. The weather was beautiful. There was a lot of sun. It was really hot. We weren't used to that, so
still aren't.
I feel like we grew a lot as a team in Florida. The athletes were able to spend a lot of time together, including every morning when we weren't playing at 9 a.m. we would go on a team walk just to get people moving, make sure everybody saw each other. There were, team meals that were provided by some of the families that were down there. We had a great support system and the families that chose to make the trip with us. The competition, it ranged from, really, really tough programs to some average programs that we were able to compete with. And I think, there's a lot of teams out there who are in our same situation who are still building as well. So it was nice to be able to see how we stack up against some of those programs. I feel like while we were out there, we played a solid one game a day. And then the second game, or at least one of the games, it was like we had a tough time staying focused mentally, just staying locked in. So that was my challenge coming back, is that, the practices need to be more focused. We needed to have a little bit longer practices so we could last the 4 hours it would take for a doubleheader. And then including having them make sure that they are able to get to that point where they can mentally stay tuned in for the two games. So they've done a great job this week, playing Martin Luther on Monday and then playing against Mount Marty on Tuesday. I feel like, without one bad in on those games on Tuesday, I think we would have been right in it. So I feel like they've stepped up to the challenge, and I'm excited to see what we have moving into conference season as we get there.
And as we speak about conference play, as we sit and do this interview, we're about a week away from conference play now. Our conference is one of the better conferences in the country when it comes to softball, always having, 2-3 teams a lot of years, making the NCAA regional tournament. As you start, focusing in on conference play, what are going to be some of those key things that the team's going to have to do? I know conference play has been, it's bitten us a little bit the last couple of years, haven't been able to get over the hump and get back into the win column. What's it going to take for this team to start pushing itself forward and up the conference standings?
I don't think we change anything at this point. When I took this job, I knew it was going to be a marathon and not a sprint. I feel like if we change our mindset when we come into a conference game versus a non-conference game, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So right now, we're just going to continue working on the process and the little things, the details that will allow us to be successful. You never know who's going to win, just like we're seeing in March Madness right now. And it's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that plays the best that day. Mm-hmm. So on any given day, it could happen for us, and I feel like we're starting to see a little bit more success, and we're starting to have higher expectations of ourselves and of our teammates, that we just need to play one pitch at a time. We need to take the smaller, fine details and move forward.
And we've been talking a lot about the team itself. Let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about your assistant coach, something that you brought in here this year. The relationship you have with Lauren, the relationship that she's providing back to the team, her knowledge, her skill set, and what that's meant for you as a coach.
It's been very nice to have Lauren on staff this year. She was in the conference that I was previously in, so I did know of her. She has stepped up. She has taken over the pitching staff. Obviously, I'm still around to help as needed when she needs help and to give feedback and to help her along. But at the same point, she also understands the everyday, day-to-day activity and the things that we need done as far as scouting reports and the little things that help me take some things off of my plate that I don't even need to worry about. So it's been very nice to have her. She's doing most of the pitch calling. She's been doing actually all the pitch calling this year, which then allows me to focus a little bit more on the defensive side and then be able to communicate a little bit more with them offensively. So I feel like it's been a great fit as far as that goes. So she can really focus on the one specific task that she's working on.
Well, Coach, we're about a week away from conference play. We're halfway through the schedule. It's hard to believe we only have, that 1 month. It's always hard. You got 1 month basically of conference play, and then it all almost comes to an end. We're in postseason play already. So we really appreciate the time. But before we leave, we just want to do a fun rapid-fire question. You'll just give me the answer that just pops into your head right away. But we'll just start with, what has been the best part of being back in Northwest Iowa?
The support. I mean, not just administratively here in Storm Lake, but all over the softball community, because I grew up in this state playing softball here and seeing a lot of familiar faces. Not only familiar faces, but being closer to family. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
And then outside of softball, since, most of your time revolves around softball, if you were to go outside of softball, what would be that sport that you would want to watch the most?
That I would want to watch? Golf.
Oh, yeah, that's all. Very good leisurely sport. Just sit back, relax, and just let it happen there. So, obviously, you played your collegiate ball at the University of Iowa, hit a lot of home runs. Do you have one particular home run, or maybe a couple home runs that just seem to pop out as being the most memorable home runs that you hit during your career?
Yeah, I guess it would probably be the one my freshman year. I didn't play a whole lot my freshman year. I was learning a lot. When I was in for a pinch hit opportunity in the regional game versus Oklahoma on a 0-0 ball game, and I just barely hit it over the fence, but it did go over the fence. I think that would probably be the most memorable because everybody talked about it.
Sure. All right. Obviously you're on the road a lot. Favorite fast food restaurant to go to would be? It could be anywhere.
Pancheros, I would say.
And your favorite travel destination would be?
Aruba.
Yeah, we can't complain with that there. when you're stuck with Iowa weather, Aruba sounds really good right now. So, again, Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck here as we get down the home stretch, begin conference play, and we look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone for all their support.
I am pleased to be joined now by BVU baseball coach Steve Eady. And, Coach, I know it's a busy time of the year, about halfway through the schedule already, believe it or not, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and do another interview with us here as we talk a little bit of Beaver baseball.
Yeah, we're 20 games in and had every type of weather you could imagine, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. So really no complaints. We haven't had to change the schedule too much. We lost a 3-game series with Bethany Lutheran in non-conference. But other than that, yeah, it's been a pretty smooth season weather-wise. We've been probably outside more than we ever have been this time of the year. So, but 2 conference series under our belts and about ready to start a few more. So, yeah, we are just looking to get a little bit better each week.
And before we dive in and talking about this current season, let's just take a minute, since it's been about a year now since we've had a conversation last, and just reflect back on the 2025 season, another historic season in the program, a lot of memories that were made, especially down the stretch, as that team obviously was built to perform like they did. Let's just jump right in. Those last couple of weeks of the season, you hit a little bit of a bump in the road there, and then you came back strong down the stretch, especially with the final regular season series at home against Co.
Yeah, it was Easter weekend that started the craziness, really, with tornado or derecho that went through Storm Lake. Some unfortunate things happened at Simpson on the weekend. We were supposed to play them, and which set up 2 different trips to Indianola. We were going to miss their number 1 starting pitcher had we played as scheduled. And so the delay in that series allowed him to come in and pitch, and he started that game, and he was really, really good and shut us out till the 9th inning. And so we dropped that game, but then we had to go from there to Wartburg to play a midweek doubleheader. We split that, and then we come home on Tuesday night and have to travel over to Dubuque on their graduation weekend, so we ended up having to play 2 on Friday, which means an early departure because they don't have lights. And then a 9 a.m. game on Saturday, which no one loves to play, especially on the road, but so that they could all go through graduation. And we dropped 2 of 3 there, so I wouldn't say we played poorly. We just got beat. And so everybody else is playing in the afternoon, and just as we're getting home, we find out Co dropped their third game of the series to, I believe, Loris, which meant we still had a chance. Co could have closed it out the regular season, but we ended up being, as we get home, we're 2 games behind with just Co to play at home on our graduation weekend. And that's not really a team you expect to sweep. Let's just put it that way. But
For sure.
yeah, that series was incredible. When we did come up with the sweep, we faced their best pitcher, the best pitcher in the league probably, and we scored 6 or 7 or 8 in the second inning against him and knocked him out, and that pretty much set the tone for the whole series.
And when you look back at the final game of that series and the Grand Slam, that was definitely the momentum changer and the clincher. What was that moment like, just in the moment?
Yeah, there's so many little things that happened. One of which was in Game 2 of the series, they brought a left-handed reliever in to face the left-hand hitting Evan Taylor. And I believe he got him out. We had the lead, so that at bat wasn't really game-changing by any means. But the guy got him out, and then we fall behind in Game 3, tie it in the 7th, and then continue to rally to load the bases, and they have the same guy warming up in the bullpen to come up and face Evan. And if you know anything about Evan Taylor, you're just like, the guy has no chance to get him out twice in a row.
He's not going to let it happen.
No. And especially if he tries to get him out the same way, because Evan's just too smart for that. And then there haven't been that many guys where I'm like, that we've coached here, that I'm like, this guy has no shot against Evan. And he was patient. He got the pitch he was looking for, and he hit it over the right field fence for a grand slam in the bottom of the 7th. And I mean, as surprising as maybe it was to a lot of people, I'm like, no, that's Evan. Like, that was bound to happen. And so, but then we had to get him out 2 more innings, and I'm not actually sure who pitched those last 2 innings, but they did a wonderful job because there wasn't even a threat. And I think at that point, Co had enough.
Just warmed down.
Because we just kept coming up with play after play, pitch after pitch, and big hit after big hit all weekend. And so that was great. And that set up a really good conference tournament where there's so many close games.
Yep.
We had 2 walk-offs, I believe, in Game 1 and then in the final game.
Yep.
That was really cool. A lot of different people stepped up when we needed them to, and yeah, then you head off to regionals, and it's a little bit of a different story, but nonetheless, it's about winning conference tournaments and conference championships. And so proud of those guys for winning 3 while they were here. That group of seniors, unbelievable group of seniors. And I mean, I just think at some point the week leading up to the Co Series, I think it was my son Mark that he told my wife Stacy, he's like, I don't know why Dad's so nervous. Like, we got this. Like, that's all we ever wanted, is to have Co to beat Co in the regular season. I mean, the end of the regular season, we have a chance to do it, and we're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the schedule and you see, the top 2 teams that were picked to finish at the top playing each other regular season finale, you just knew that there's a chance.
Especially in Storm Lake.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you never know what the wind's going to do.
Doesn't happen often.
For sure.
You're always usually looking at the score, out-of-town scoreboard and waiting for updates over the PA from you, Stephen, and when you don't hear scores, it means it's not going well in our favor. But we didn't have to worry about that. It was just right there in front of us, and I don't know. Yeah, I was nervous for sure because I wanted them to win so bad.
Sure.
And they were just like, God, we got this, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And they sure did.
And after, not getting it the year before in another tight conference race, to be able to come back and, it was you and Co 2 years in a row,
yeah.
and to be able to come back and and basically take it to them that last series.
Yeah,
Had to feel pretty special.
Yeah, that was amazing. I just to have it right in front of you, and really for dropping as many games late in the year as we did to set that up and just even have a chance. So I think we have Loris to thank for that, not quitting and taking a game from them late in the season there really set the stage for probably one of the greatest memories I've had.
For sure. And when you carry that momentum, like you said, over into the conference tournament, you played 3 just really tight games, neck and neck, all the way through. We go back to that rematch with Co. 1-0 game, great pitchers duel all the way to the end. We get a couple of insurance runs there in the bottom of the 8th inning that really, didn't make things easier, but gave us a little bit of wiggle room. Talk about the pitching performance by Mark throughout that game. That probably goes down as one of his best pitching performances of his career. Just talk about that moment, that victory in that rematch, and then the walk-off by Jake against the surprise Nebraska Wesleyan team in the tournament to close things off.
Yeah, usually when you face a team at the last regular season series and then you play them right away again in the tournament, usually the results are a little bit different. But Mark pitched a gem against them in Game 2 of our series. And their guy that he was going up against was a guy that Ethan O'Donnell. We never really do much against him. He has our number, and we just scratched and clawed. And I mean, if we would have given up 3, 4, 5 runs, I don't think we win that game against Ethan O'Donnell. And so they had a rematch against each other, and it went exactly the same way. Mark threw a complete game, both games, something he never really had done before. But he was super efficient. Thankfully, Co's a little on the aggressive side, so they don't take many pitches. And so you can get through them. You're not going to strike them out, but you can get through it. Unfortunately, the balls they hit hard were right at us, and the wind was blowing in at Cedar Rapids during the tournament. And that helped, too, because Mark was running on fumes there in the later innings. But, he had their number, I guess, and that's, I think, growing up, that's what he always imagined.
For sure.
I think there's a little bit of 20 years worth of pre-playing on those in those types of series. And, it was super magical for Mark and Jake to be on the field at the same time together through all of that.
For sure.
And then the Wesleyan, man, they turned it around last year with basically the same guys and a new coach who I admire a lot. And they got on that heater like you can in that tournament where you always get the big hit and the balls always seem to find your glove, and they were on it. And you definitely did want to play them again in the if necessary game, and that was a hard-fought game too. I mean, we pitched it pretty well too, and they sure did with guys that maybe hadn't. I think both teams had guys that were maybe not successful all the time throughout the year, but they sure were on that day. And Sobek hit that ball off the wall. It was been nice to have that got out. That'd have been a good way to end it. But then I think one of the other great things is we pinch ran him for a senior. Jacob Eversall got in the game, and he scored the game-winning run on Jake's single up the middle. And I'm not sure who I'm happier for. For sure Jake, but still for Jacob Eversall to score that run and be at the bottom of the pile. And then for the team to allow Jacob to go get the trophy at the end of it. I mean, Jacob was a role player for 4 years, but he was always the first guy at practice.
Yeah, and those are the guys that deserve moments like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Full circle.
I just wish that our group this year would understand what being a great teammate is. I mean, they are good teammates, but they're not next level like the group last year.
For sure.
And I know that's wishful thinking. I don't know if I'll ever have another group like that, just with the unselfishness from our best players. I think that's something that you're always striving to find those moments in your team that you can rally around. And with this year's team, we haven't quite found that yet, but we're working on it.
Sure. And that just leads right into the next topic. you've been spoiled, like you said, with the senior class that just departed, and even a couple other senior classes that were fairly large prior to that. I wouldn't say it's caught up to you, but now you're in a spot where you don't have the veteran upper class leadership like that, the game-changing players. You bring in a pretty good returning class that got a little bit of experience over the last year or two, but now you're trying to mix and match maybe a little bit more with the incoming class. Let's just talk about a little bit of the makeup of the roster, and what some of those strengths of the returners and those newcomers brought into the program starting back in the fall.
Yeah, we had a great fall. And I would say going into the season we had a lot of depth. Like, we have a lot of really good, solid players in our program. But we don't quite have that alpha like we did. And that's hard. I mean, it's not a slam on these guys at all. They're playing hard. They're good players. We just haven't put it all together yet, where every phase of our game is solid. And I think we can do that here in the last part of the season. Our guys like each other. They work hard. They've done all the things. But there is always someone to take over the game and with the last group of guys, and that's just something we haven't found yet. Saw some of that this last weekend with Loris. We got some great relief appearances from guys that it's just taken them a while to get there, but I hope that that's a springboard moving forward because it changes everything for us. Sure. It makes our hitters more relaxed when they know we got a shutdown guy at the back end of the game, because our starters have been pretty good here recently. And so that's the foundation you got to build upon, is just starting pitching, getting it to the bullpen. And we've been searching for the bullpen a little bit here and there. And hopefully that's starting to take shape, because I think it would fix a lot of things. And then simply we got to have better at-bats when guys are in scoring position. We're just a little antsy trying to do too much when a single to right field would do the trick. We expand the zone. We swing at pitchers' pitches, and that can change quickly once someone starts doing it. And we've been getting on base. We've been, our team batting average isn't great, but it's good enough. But we just got to start driving in runs in big moments. I mean, even the other day, I think both teams with the wind howling out scored in every inning. But we scored one, they'd score 2 or 3, and we were just fighting from behind when we have plenty of chances to score 3, 4, or 5.
Right.
And
as a coach, when you go through moments like that, especially with the younger group of guys that you said, sometimes want to just press just a little too much, especially given, how good the teams were before them. They want to live up to those expectations. So as a coach, what do you tell those guys just to settle them down, calm them down, and just keep that level-headed mentality?
It's really hard to do that, but it's like, it's so, in theory, it's simple. It's keeping your composure and just sticking with the plan, and then we got to be a little bit better executing it if we do stick to it. But I mean, I think they worry about results too much, which is not uncommon. And that's when you get into a lot of trouble, is when you're just hoping to win and wanting it to be in the 9th inning and with the lead. Like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you got to play good in the 1st inning. You got to have good at-bats in the 2nd inning. You got to do it all the way through. And it probably didn't help that this was probably one of the hardest non-conference schedules we've ever put together. I don't know exactly what I was thinking. I thought it would help us, and I think it crushed us there early because we didn't play well, and then you get punished for it with good teams. Probably not the year to schedule like I did, but I'm looking at this as a 2-year deal with as many young guys as we play. Essentially, we'll have the same exact lineup next year, so hopefully it'll pay off at some point. I'm hoping it'll be the last month and a half of the season, but nonetheless, we need to finish with some momentum here, and hopefully we can get in that conference tournament somehow, some way, and then I think that would be a positive thing for this team.
For sure. And you talk about the tough schedule. The non-conference ended there on the spring trip with a 3-game series against Rhodes College, who moved into the D3 top 25. Basically, the time you met up with them, you came out and you took game 1 of that series.
Yeah, played great. It was unbelievable.
Game 2 was a little bit of a struggle. Game 3 just kind of got away from it.
That's what we were envisioning all along, is that we could go compete with some of the best teams in the country, and we did for a day. And they were, I talked to some other coaches, and they're like, Yeah, Rhodes, they lost a lot of guys, but they're really, really good. They're probably even better than they were last year. I'm like, that's not what I wanted to hear. Because they made regionals last year, and it was supposed to be a tournament, and then with the new coach, they just didn't find anybody else to come in. So we played 3 against them, which was fine. Like, great people or a great team, a lot of young, like, freshmen out there that, man, they're going to be set for a while. And had beautiful weather down there. It was a great trip. And again, like, we just walked too many guys. We were sloppy defensively. It's not like they beat us all over the ballpark. Mm-hmm. And so to get our guys to understand, like, your stuff's good enough if you just trust it, has been a little longer lesson than I would have liked to have had, but hopefully we can get that figured out.
And you come back from that trip, and then you turn around and open up the home schedule, and essentially you're supposed to, play 11 straight home games. You got, weather didn't cooperate, so we lost the first 2 of that homestand. But now you're on the verge of playing the final game of the 9-game homestand. With a team like this, is it a good thing to maybe play that many games at home just to maybe try and get them comfortable, settle them down just a little bit? Or is it, one of those things where you would like to maybe have a little bit more balance of home and away just to put as much pressure on them?
Yeah, it would have. I wish we could play every game at home like a lot of teams do down south. But, no, I think it was good to be at home. We were able to play a lot of JV games too. I think we were up to 10 JV games. And with as young a team as we have, everybody's getting a lot of at-bats and a lot of appearances on the mound. We've given some JV guys a shot at the varsity level and understand they're not quite ready for that yet, but they still have the ability to go play. Like, we're supposed to have 2 JV dates this week along with the varsity date. So it seems like everybody's playing and each day, and I think this is a good time of the year for that. But the road's going to get hard here shortly.
It will. You'll go on the road coming even next weekend.
Yeah. But that's the thing about last year's group. They didn't care where we played, what time we played. We had home games in West Liberty, Iowa, and it didn't matter. We went and played great. Like, that's the thing that's hard is not building in excuses. It's just like, hey, we get a chance to play. I don't care where we play. That team was just as good on the road as they were at home. And I think that's a lesson these guys need to remember is, like, everybody's got 9 innings to play. It doesn't matter where you play them.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be tested. We're supposed to be at Luther and then at Central, and then we're home again for the co-weekend, which will be essentially our last home weekend. It's been good to be at home for sure. Looking forward to just getting back out there and trying to keep this developmental thing going.
Absolutely, and we'll just talk a little bit about the roster. You've established maybe a little bit more of the consistent lineup, or at least the group of guys that are consistently in that, that starting lineup or that see the significant action. Talk a little bit about just some of the overall strengths that the group has brought, and maybe if there's any, surprises among the newcomers here early on that have maybe surprised you a little bit, or the great deal of potential that this group really has.
We really get it going. We're a threat all the way through the lineup. Like, I wouldn't say everybody's been at their best every game or as consistent as I'd like them to be, but that's what we're working on every day in practice, is just trying to be more consistent. And honestly, when some of those practice habits become game habits, we're going to be okay. And we're going to be pretty offensive, I think. Personnel-wise, like, Cooper Sobek's a sophomore from the Phoenix area. He's really been good lately, really developed and hitting off speed. I mean, the jump he's made in a year has been tremendous. And so that's what our guys need to understand too. Like, hey, we're working on something. It's going to take a little time. You're not going to get instant results, but you got to just stick with it. And he's hitting third for us or fourth for us, and is a threat for sure. Caden Struck's the returning rookie of the year in the ARC last year, sophomore from Millard West in Omaha, and he's a great player. I think some of those guys have also, since they were everyday players last year, have put a lot on their shoulders, and maybe it's just too much. Mm-hmm. Ask those guys to be leaders and the offensive backbone of our team. I just don't think that's they're quite ready for that. They're great role players now developing into our leaders, and I think they've carried some of that pressure on their shoulders.
Sure.
But a newcomer is again getting better is catcher Dylan Johnson, which now we now have two Dylan Johnsons on the team, and they're both sophomores. Catcher Dylan is a catcher DH, and pitcher Dylan is a left-hand pitcher sophomore. They're both sophomores. And I think Saturday was the first time that Dylan caught Dylan.
Yeah, that made Christian Voss, the voice of the Beavers, that made his day when he saw that lineup come through. He's like, he's been waiting for it.
But
I've
Dylan's
never seen that happen before either.
Catcher Dylan is a powerful left-hand hitter. He hits some balls every day. You're just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. He's hit 5 home runs. I think 3 or 4 have been 3-run shots, which is makes you look really smart when you have a guy hit a 3-run homer as opposed to solo. But he gets better every day, and he would not be fun to face. Otherwise, Connor Duong's is a sophomore getting a lot of at-bats. He was injured all of last year. Great player from Southeast Polk High School. Just a tough out. Tegan Kazel's been playing well, another sophomore. Ben Byington's been a great addition to us, too. He's a freshman from Las Vegas. I think he's going to be a tremendous hitter in this league. He's just getting better each week. He's hitting just a shade below 300, but I think he's a 350, 375 hitter in this league eventually. And he's starting to drive the ball with some power. There's just a lot of pieces there that need to come together, and most of them are sophomores and juniors.
Sure. And obviously, baseball-wise, this conference has been pretty solid these last, number of years where there's not an easy matchup that you can just say, hey, that's, pencil me in for 2 or 3 wins in that series. I mean, up and down the standings, it's getting tougher and tougher every year. Just talk a little bit about the conference, the shakeup of the conference. Maybe who are some of the surprise teams going into this year, at least early on in the season. How you see the race shaken up at the end.
I really, unless someone's saying that about BV right now that they can guarantee 2 to 3 wins, I don't think they're saying that about anybody else in this league. Dubuque came in at 3-9 when we played them, and they looked amazing. And they've played well since they came here. Luther's been good, but then they drop a game at Wartburg that they should have won. I think Co was probably they were the favorite to win it. They've won both series, but they've dropped a game each weekend. So I just don't know. I think it's just going to be a battle to win two games each weekend out of the 3. So there's really no time to worry about that. We play midweek this week and next week against Central, and they're 4-2. It's every game matters.
Sure, for sure.
And every game will be tight. I would think.
Wins are maybe not where we want them at this point. Having a little bit of a wide open race probably helps us in that regard, knowing that there's not a 2 or 3 teams that are just starting to separate themselves and running away with it. That makes it harder for us to, push for that 6th spot. It could be, anybody's game here still with 3 weeks of the season to go.
I don't see many teams tanking and losing 6 in a row. The difference between 1 and 2 and 2 and 1's big this year especially. And given where we've started off, we need to take 2 out of 3 from a couple different teams here. And I just don't know how realistic sweeps are being in our position, but just take it one game at a time and try to figure it out.
And last week we hosted Loras College, part of Alumni Day. Let's talk a little bit about Alumni Day, just what it's like to bring back the guys from the past, whether it's just a year or 2 out, or guys that have maybe been gone now for 20 years or plus that have come back. Kind of what that moment means for you as a coach, seeing the guys come back, as the program to have them back. And then obviously something you've created here in the last few years, the Diamond Award. Talk a little bit about Ed Hendrickson, the alum that you were able to present that award to this year.
I think it's important to have alumni event in the fall and in the spring centered around our games. And with it being a 4-hour first game, it's a little hard to ask those guys to stick it out for 8 hours. So we had a lot of them in Friday, and then, I mean, a lot of those guys are now having kids that are busy with – these guys are coaching Little League now. I think it's hilarious. A couple guys had to go home Saturday morning for field cleanup, so they were here on Friday. And I don't know, it's just – I think it gives our guys perspective as to how much this program means to a lot of people. And I think normally we play better on Alumni Weekend than we did this past weekend, but I think the message is that they still care about our success. They know we're going through some tough times, but the message is you just got to keep grinding. I mean, none of our teams started off 20-0. None of our teams, normally when we come back from spring break, we're 8-4, whatever. There's still work to be done, and that's the way it is this year. Like, I've always thought that this would be the team that improved the most from game 1 to game 40. We're somewhere getting closer to seeing that improvement, but man, if we could just get in that conference tournament, I think we won't be fun to play. I mean, we've got some pretty good relievers that are starting to take form right now, and that would be huge when you get into a conference tournament. And we've got a lot of experience. I mean, we're getting there anyway. We've pitched 18 guys. I mean, if we're going on I feel like if in a 4-game series now, we're much better off, which might happen next week. Actually, we play with the weather coming up on Easter weekend. It's not looking good, but there's a chance we could play 4 9-inning games on consecutive days, and I think we'll be all right.
Yes.
I think they're better and more ready to do that now than they were, in February.
Absolutely.
So, but the alumni, I mean, I just respect those guys so much for continuing to show up. And then we had great time with stories, and I think they're wishing last year's group was wishing they were still on the field, I think, but I think they're proud of what they've done and where they belong in our history. But the Diamond Award is something we've done for a handful of years, and it's just, I think they just need to know how much we thank them for their support in a lot of different ways, whether it's through donations or internship opportunities. Just what are they doing to give back to the program? And I just feel like it's a pretty tough club to get into. But with Ed, Ed loves BV. While he's a 55 grad, he doesn't have many teammates left around.
Sure. But
we've gone up and had lunch with him a couple times, and he's shown us his collection of cars that he has and all these things. I'm just like, you're an amazing dude, man. And just his personality and the way he tells stories and his passion for, I don't know if you give BV credit for that, but I don't know, just the person he was a competitive. You can tell he's a competitive player, mm-hmm. And then when he got into business, how that transitioned over to him being super successful. But then he's just Ed, he's just a guy that likes to stay busy when he can, and he's got a ton of friends up there in Spirit Lake, and I'm a history buff, so you're telling me stories about playing Luther, and I'm all in. Yeah. I am all in. Thinking about how much college athletics has changed. Like, they were playing Central. They would drive to Central in the rain. No clearing in sight. Show up at the field, and they're like, nope, we can't play today. So they drive back home. Like, I can't even fathom that right now. I hear stories about going on spring break, and there's players driving cars, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like,
don't let our guys
do that. I don't know. It's just a simpler time, but, they may have only played 15 games in a season, 17, 18. If the weather's great, because there was no makeup policies then. Like, you either got to play or you didn't. And now I mean, we've got so much flexibility that we're going to pretty much get in all 40 games. So when they see all these career records, they're like, well, if we would have played 40 games, like,
who knows?
we would have hit. Ed would probably say he'd hit 35 home runs.
Yeah.
True to being Ed, asked him out on the field when he came out and was recognized. I said, what would you do with these metal bats? What would you have done with these metal bats these guys are using these days? He's like, someone would have died.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I think the coolest part is he still has the bat that he used to hit. He hit 9 home runs in 17 games that year. So if you correlate that out, I mean, it's a 40-game season. Oof.
Yeah.
Scary to think about. But he still has a bat that he used over his fireplace. And I thought that was so
that is
cool.
Cool. Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Awesome. Well, Coach, it's been a great conversation here today. A lot of games still to be played. A lot of stuff still up in the air. We wish you all the best of luck. But before we let you go, we've got a couple just fun questions just kind of wrap up. We're just going to dive right in. Question number 1. We know you love the sport of golf. First off, the best golf course that you've played on or had the chance to play on, and then if there's a course that you one day hope or dream to be able to play on.
All right. I love this. For sentimental reasons, I'm a big Open, the British Open. No one calls it the British Open, but the Open tournament. We've played a lot. I've been fortunate enough to go to Scotland twice and played 4 of those courses that have been on the British Open rotation. But the favorite is obviously the old course in St. Andrews. Just the vibe you get stepping onto that first tee is overwhelming. And the first time we went was 2015, right after Zach Johnson won, which was cool. Really, really cool. We were there probably 3 weeks after that happened, and the grandstands were still up. They were taking them down as we were playing, but it takes forever to take those things down. But just to see and to imagine what that would be like playing in that environment in a tournament is just, and not only in 2015, they've been playing it there for hundreds of years. Yeah. Like, that was one of the most surreal moments I've ever had, is walking those fairways, knowing that the best players in the world of all time have walked down the same fairways. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. The course that I would like to play that I haven't, and that actually domestically in the United States, I haven't played a lot of famous courses. Mm-hmm. But I think you'd have to be Pebble Beach. Would be unbelievable. I think if there's a course in the United States that I would love to play, it would be either that or TPC Sawgrass with the Island Green. That would be cool. Pretty sweet.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong there.
Knowing that I'm not going to get on Augusta. There's no chance I'm playing Augusta, but that would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you may have answered this next question. I don't know, but the best overall sports venue that you've been to?
Well, the Ryder Cup was in Hazeltine. We were there on Sunday, a college buddy of mine. It's the greatest thing I've ever been to, but I didn't really see a lot of golf. That's the hard part about golf. So you're not really seeing the action. Golf is a horrible sport to attend, I think. But all of it before competition started was amazing. Walking in the gates at 7 a.m., I think tee time was 9, and the fans around the first tee box were chanting nonstop. It was crazy. Yeah, we settled in by the driving range, so we got to see everybody hit balls. That was the coolest part of the golf part of it. But just the energy and the atmosphere for the Ryder Cup was pretty awesome. Otherwise, I haven't been to that. I haven't been to a World Series game. I haven't been to a Super Bowl, any NFL game forever. It doesn't really even intrigue me, but the Ryder Cup was something spectacular.
Absolutely. I can imagine. Go back to your playing days at Iowa. Is there a hit, a special moment that just has always stuck with you, probably more than other moments throughout your playing career?
It's funny how you don't remember too much from actual games. I think what probably sums up my college career better than anything was the game that I hit my only home run in college. Had I not hit that home run, we would have lost 14-0. But after that home run, it was 14-1. We got beat by Minnesota. So I really knew the big moment to hit my only home run. But no, it's just from Iowa City. You know, I was a freshman on the Big Ten championship team in 1990, so I didn't have much to do with that. But having a front row seat to watching some of the best players that ever played at Iowa was pretty fun. I would say that just getting to see how intense that competition was overwhelming, to be honest with you. But I probably learned more from those guys on how to play the game and how to fight to win. That's probably my biggest learning experience that I'll never forget.
For sure. And then we'll end with the $1 million question. How many wins will the Twins finish with this year?
Well, they're going to lose 100. We know that, right? So what's that, maybe 55, 60?
Yeah.
Will they go 62 and 100? That'll be a stretch.
Stretch,
I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Time will tell. We're only a few games in. You know, things can change, but there are certain teams that just know that.
I think Sunday I was looking at following the box score. Jake was at home, and I said, "Geez, Twins were 1-1, and that was the rubber game of the series." I'm like, "Geez, the Twins are up 4-1." And then I look back 5 minutes later. Nope, Baltimore hit a 3-run homer. They're down. He's like, figures.
Yep, this is the way the season's gonna go. Oh shoot. Well, Coach, it's been a great conversation today. Again, appreciate the time and the busy schedule. We wish you all the best here down the stretch, and hopefully there are plenty of wins to still report on.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Inside Beaver Athletics is presented to members of the BV Club and friends of Buena Vista University Athletics. We thank you for your support of our athletes. Until next time, go Beavers!